play around with my hair so much.
I think I do
just
too, and I do like.
yeah, I like smell my hair and stuff.
You should totally put this as like some
I
sort of
know.
like what is
Bloopers.
it? No, in the beginning.
Yeah.
She'll be like, I smell my hair, and I do that.
Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today is a very special video. I have with me my dear friend Shibani from Atelier Shibani and we are going to be dissecting the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. Now
Oh my God.
we love this series. So this is basically just going to be us gushing about it.
I felt
Trilogy.
so compelled to read it because you went on and on and on about it.
Yes, I have.
So this was definitely a conspiracy. It wasn't just, oh, it just happened. It was because she
Exactly.
convinced me.
If you guys don't know, the Live Ship Trader trilogy, it has 3 books. The first one is Ship of Magic, the second one is The Mad Ship, and the third is Ship of Destiny. And this trilogy is part of the broader Realm of the Elderling series by Robin Hobb. Now, there are a bunch of trilogies, and there's one like 4-book series which are part of Realm of the Elderlings. And the Live Ship Traders one is the second trilogy in the series. You haven't read the Farseer books, right?
I've read the first book and I wasn't very excited with it. But then
Right.
that's when you were like, just get in here. It doesn't matter
Exactly.
where you enter. It doesn't fully matter, but this one is a good entry point.
Exactly. So the Live Ship Traders one, even though it's the second trilogy, you can start the Realm of the Elderlings with this trilogy and it won't really spoil anything for you. So with that said, we are going to be jumping into the spoiler-free section first. So this is fully spoiler-free. And later, we're going to be diving into all of the spoilers, the lore, the characters, just everything. But we will let you know when we get to spoilers.
I have chills.
Exactly. For the spoiler-free section, what were your initial thoughts after you finished this trilogy? And what did you like about it? Was there anything you disliked about it? Let me know first. I'll let you open it and then I will tell
I
you
feel like
my
there were
thoughts.
very, very few things that I disliked about it. And
Yeah.
it was more than dislike, it was more like, just like, like, they could have done maybe something better
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
But then, like, I didn't really, like, hate anything. Just the fact that it had talking ships.
Yes.
I'm just like, excuse me. So I'm like,
Yes.
like you, I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of like dragons, but
Yes.
unlike you, I'm not a huge fan of like pirating
Yes.
worlds or whatever, right?
Yes.
Only because I haven't read too many, and then even when I watch TV and like movies and stuff like that, I've never been like oh wow, pirates or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of hesitated picking it up because of that. But
Yeah.
then when you said talking ships, I was like, now that changes the game fully.
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, cool. Let's just like read it. Let's start
Yeah.
reading. And if I don't like it, then never mind. What is amazing about this book is that you get pulled in immediately.
These books are all 800 plus pages.
Yeah.
But they are so binge worthy. Like, you will not be able to put these books down. It's like physically impossible to put
Yeah.
these down because they suck you into their world.
Yeah.
It is exactly what Shibani said. This is basically set in a fantastical realm. And there are pirates, there are talking ships,
Yeah.
there is politics, there are extremely, like, I would say, like, very realistic characters. Like, each of them has like such, they've been built with so much like nuance and shades of gray that it just makes everything believable even though you're in a fantastical world,
Yeah.
and it sucks you in.
It's super binge worthy, super
Yes.
pacey, sucks you in
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like not only bestseller type books do that. Like
Yeah.
this isn't technically, I mean, with the 800 pages and like
Yeah.
I don't know too many people who are reading like Robin Hobb, right?
It's a
But
pretty niche fandom, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
still felt like Sarah Jessica, no, not Sarah Jessica Parker, Sarah J. Maas.
Yes.
Sorry, her books are so popular because
Yeah.
again, you just get sucked into it.
Correct.
But at the same time, it's not like deep quality writing.
Correct.
It's not deep quality characters.
Yeah.
Like these guys. So one is binge worthy. The second is the characters. The
Yeah.
characters are just insane. They are insane. I
Yes.
mean, and there's not just one. There's not like two. There's like a million of them.
All of them, and
Yeah.
like not just the main characters. I feel like firstly there aren't a lot of like, there's no real main character in this series. There are a bunch of main characters, but then there are also side characters, and even they are like so well developed.
I know. And like the best part is they take like this, what you think is a side character takes like whole chapters.
Exactly.
And then later they don't take whole chapters. Like
Yes.
you read them through other people's lenses, and
Correct.
it's like, what is going on, but it's amazing because I've never seen this kind of stylistic device.
Exactly. And the thing is that each side character also has like a whole complete arc. And so they don't just feel like they're there to support the story or support like the main character's journey in a way. Like they have their own place in the story.
Yeah.
And they are so well developed. Like this is the hill that I will die on, that Robin Hobb is the best fantasy writer when it comes to characters. Like character development, I have not read any other fantasy writer who does characters like Robin Hobb.
And she's gone like to the hurtful parts, the deep parts,
Yes.
the gray parts, the
Yeah.
like, and she just, and what I also love is that she completes the whole story, right? Like, it's
Yes.
not like she just leaves a few threads hanging.
Exactly.
She doesn't leave like certain topics that she's opened hanging.
Yeah.
Everybody gets like a nice little
Yeah,
closure.
it's all tied up at the end.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
So
And I think that also what's really cool is that all of the characters have multiple learnings. It's not one learning.
yes.
Like it's not like the first book started and then at the third book she's learned one lesson.
Correct.
Each book teaches her multiple learnings,
Exactly.
and it just teaches you so much about who you are
Yes.
as well.
Oh.
And like speaking of characters,
Yeah.
I think this you and I talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
The best villains. Oh my god.
Yes. Okay, so my favorite villains are the kind which like they have a good backstory,
Yeah.
but they're also kind of empathetic in
Yeah.
some way. Like you're supposed to be able to understand what makes them like who they are or how they are. I hate the kind of villains that are just like, I'm evil and I'm going to like
Destroy the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Destroy the world. I'm just this power hungry, evil person.
Yeah.
Like I hate villains who are just very one dimensional.
Yeah.
Robin Hobb, at least in this book, has created
6-dimensional.
yes.
Not even like 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional. I mean, some of them, not all of them,
Yeah.
but like some of the bad guys, you can't even tell if they're like bad guys on most days. You're just
yeah.
like,
And like she F's with your brain because you're like, I'm supposed to hate this character, but do I really hate this character
Yeah.
or do I not? Like she really F's with your brain.
yeah,
And multifaceted villains, multifaceted good guys also, because they're not always
Dudh Dhamma,
morally,
yeah.
morally right.
In fact, most of them are not. I mean,
they're not.
they're
That's why
trying
they're all
to figure
grey.
out. Yeah, they're all trying to figure out what is the right thing to do because they keep being
Exactly.
thrown into these predicaments and then it's just like,
Yes.
like what? I mean, including the ships, right?
Yeah. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
The ships themselves, like we said, they are sentient talking ships.
Yeah.
These ships are also characters in the book. Like they have personality traits.
Yeah.
They also have story arcs, by the way. Like
Yeah.
they also go through
Their
like
own
Yeah.
character.
journey.
Yeah, yeah.
But like they start off in one place and then they evolve by the end of the series.
It's insane.
It's just
So
yeah.
wait, so we're saying we love how pacey it is, we love the characters, we love the villains,
Yes.
and then we love the ships.
Yes.
Because they have their own, like they're not just stylistic devices, which
They're
they
not.
are also,
Yeah.
but they're not just that, they're
Yeah.
actual characters in,
Exactly.
in the book,
With
right?
thoughts, emotions,
Yeah.
and like feelings, deep feelings, and you're like, this is a ship. But
Yeah.
it has like it's
Yeah.
so deep.
Yeah, and like
Also.
if nothing will make you pick up this book,
Yeah.
this reason should.
Yes.
And we're like literally listing these like different reasons for you guys because honestly,
Exactly.
it's so good, so good, so good, so good. The other thing that I really liked was the lore.
Yes.
There is, if you guys like lore, this
Yes.
is the book for you because
Yes.
it goes. So obviously, there's a lot of politics and there's a lot
Yeah.
of like because there are many different worlds and you see so many different characters and their perspectives. Each chapter is a different. Not necessarily a different character, maybe a chapter sometimes also like different characters as well.
Yeah.
But you get different perspectives, but then you also get like so much background lore. Like
Yeah.
it's delicious. It's so good.
It is.
And then when I was reading it, she'd already finished reading it,
Yeah.
and I would keep telling her, and she's like, okay, and I keep saying, don't say anything because it all gets mixed up, so don't
Yes.
say anything yet.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm at, and this is how I'm frustrated I'm feeling, or this is how I'm feeling, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait, get to book 2. Do you know how much lore there is? So if you guys like lore, please start reading it right now, and then
Yeah.
come to the second part of this video where we're talking about all of it and deconstructing all of it. I can't tell you, I'm talking so fast because I'm so excited to be doing this
Correct, yeah.
video.
And just to let you guys know, like I don't know how long this video is going to be. We have had like I think like a 45-minute discussion yesterday planning this video. And
Yeah.
we spoke about everything we loved about the book, all of the lore, all of our like, I guess the dissection of the themes and stuff. So we've already had a 45-minute discussion
Yeah.
yesterday, and today we're having it again.
And that was like, I think I messaged you saying, let's do a quick 5-minute call discussing the structure. Except
Yeah.
that we just got so
carried away.
Nobody asked. And we were
Yes.
just like, no, we just keep talking about, and this, and that,
Yeah.
and this. It's just like crazy.
Exactly. But coming to the lore, I 100% agree. I think it's just a fantastic world that Robin Hobb has built. And this is something that like a lot of people start Robin Hobb's books with the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings. And I agree, those books are kind of a slog to get through. Firstly, because those books I think are in like first person narrative as well, which becomes like a little bit tedious if you don't like the character whose brain we are in constantly. Whereas this one is multi POV. So you're basically seeing like different character perspectives, different emotions, and it's like more fast paced because of that. But if you like the lore in Live Ship Traders, you have to continue with the Realm of the Elderlings because the
Can't wait.
lore just like it blows up in the other books and it just goes wild. And the places where she takes the things that happen in this book is phenomenal. And so, like, Farseer books, they are a slog. And I've been telling Shivani the same thing. Get through them. Just get through them. And then reach the third trilogy, which is Tawny Man. And it just gets like so good. One last point, which I have, is if you like complex female characters specifically, again, this series is the one for you because the way that Robin Hobb brings out different like facets of femininity as well is so beautiful through all of the female characters that are there in this book. It's not just one aspect of like the female experience or femininity or like feminine energy. It's all facets of womanhood.
Yeah.
And that is so beautifully done through her characters. And again, I don't see it very often in fantasy.
Yeah. And what's, sorry, go on.
No, specifically high fantasy is what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And what's really nice is because they have like different characters.
Yeah.
You get to see someone who is very boyish. You get to see
Yeah.
someone who is very modern thinking. Someone
Yeah.
who's completely different and like is totally alien. Comes with like a completely like absurd way of
Yeah.
thinking, like Amber, for example,
Yes.
right? Or like Malta, who's just
Yeah.
like
Young and silly.
so annoying and silly,
Yeah.
and like at times you just want to slap her.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and it's just like you see so many different kinds of women,
Yeah.
and how not one of them or one of their ways are like the
Is it-
best way.
Or is the right way to be a woman.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Or
beautiful.
like, yeah, you would think that all of us as modern women would like support the modern woman character,
Correct. Yeah.
but actually no, she's also like quite broken in like
Yeah.
some of the ways that she thinks and acts
Exactly.
and all of that, right? And I
Exactly.
just love that they're so flawed, all the
Yeah.
women and the men, but the women especially. I love
Yeah.
that, like they're so, I love that the ships are so flawed.
Yeah, because the ships also, like, there are men and women
Yeah.
ships. Like, there are different genders. And
Yeah.
yeah, so.
And I just love that even towards the end, they're not fully like perfect characters
Yeah.
either, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely please read the
Yes.
series.
I
'cause-
mean, like, I will end this like spoiler-free section just by saying that we both discussed this yesterday, so I can speak on her behalf as well. This is possibly our number one favorite
Yes.
fantasy series of all time. And we both are like avid fantasy readers. We love our fantasy books. And this is our number one fantasy series ever.
for sure. I mean,
so,
I can't. I mean, I can't believe that I'm saying this because I'm very sort of like hesitant on saying the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it the most and things
Yeah.
like that. With that much kind of certainty.
yeah.
But I don't think I've ever read anything where like there's no like even the drama in this book is
Yeah.
not existent for just the drama.
Exactly.
She's trying to cover a point, if not now, later.
Correct.
And like she gets to it eventually, and it's like, how are you supposed to fault the book at all if like she's not even using a minute for drama, right? She's not just doing
Seriously.
like anything for the shock value of
Yeah.
it or whatever. So I just feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot going on in this book that makes it so epic in
Exactly.
what you take away from it.
Yeah, the other thing is, and I know like we said that this is the last point, but truly this is the last point. The battle scenes, because there are a few like battle scenes in this book. What I love about Robin Hobb's writing is that even the battle scenes, she has a way of making it character focused and emotion driven, and like what characters are thinking and feeling at that time, rather than just like dishum dishum, he like slapped this person, or
Yeah.
he like kicked this person, or like
Yeah.
sword fighting. Like there's even depth, emotion,
Yeah.
and like character growth within the battle sequences.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
How are you doing
Yeah,
here?
I have never read that before.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. So
Yes.
these are like 5-6 reasons to read this book,
Yes.
and not this book, this series.
The series.
And then I will challenge you that you will be addicted to like want to know the rest of the series and like the
Exactly.
rest of the stuff
Yeah.
that Hobb has written. So yeah, if you don't read it after this, then it's your loss. We don't have anything to
Completely
say.
your loss. Exactly. You're really losing out if you don't read the series.
Should we get into the meat of it?
Yes. So spoiler section start from here. You have been warned. We are going into everything, right? So like we're going into major character, like lives, deaths, all of that. So basically, this
Don't
is your
come in
warning.
here
Yeah,
if,
this
like,
is your
you've read
warning.
Only 2 books or only 1 book. Don't
Yes.
come in here.
This is-
Finish 3 and
Exactly.
then come, because there's
Yeah.
no way that we'll like.
Yeah, we're going into it all 3 books, every single thing from the first page to the last page.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is your warning. Spoilers start now. Okay, so we're now jumping into spoilers, and we have a new addition to our set. These beautiful flowers, which we forgot to put in the first place, but they're here now. Anyway, spoilers. So I mean, this is probably going to be a little bit jumbled. We're going to talk about like a bunch of things that we liked about the book, but I think the first thing that we want to talk about is the overarching theme, which is about destiny versus the path that life takes you on, because this is something that every single character
Yeah.
faces
Yeah.
in this.
And like destiny versus who you want to be and wielding
Yeah.
your own path. too,
Correct.
right?
Yes,
Like,
yes. So it's more like what you think is your destiny versus where life actually takes you.
yeah. And like, does destiny even have a role to play? Right?
Yeah.
Like in some characters like Kenneth, it has every role to play because he
Right.
believes it. It's true. Like he's
Yeah.
just like, I'm the luckiest man on earth, and
Yeah.
so it's true.
Okay, so I think the two for which this is very strong is Winthrop and Althea. Winthrop feels that he's destined to be, I forgot what it was. Like it's kind of like a monk, right?
Yeah.
He wants to be a monk. And with Althea, she wants to inherit Vivacia and she wants to be the captain of that ship.
Yeah.
And they truly feel that that is what they are destined for.
Yeah.
With Kenneth, it's more like ambition versus what he thinks is his destiny.
Yeah.
But with these two characters, it's like
But
they
I don't know, like-
inherently feel that this is what they are meant to do in life.
So it's interesting. So I feel like with Althea, she feels like this is what she's meant to do in life, and so
Yeah.
does Winthrop.
Yeah.
But then with Kenneth as well, I just feel like he's like, in the beginning, of course, we don't know why he feels so strongly about
Yeah.
this, but they open with him being on this Others Island or whatever, right? Where,
Correct.
is that what it's called? Others Island?
Others Island, yeah.
Where he goes there and he's just like, I'm so good. Nothing can ever touch me.
Yeah.
Like I'm touched by God, and like
Yeah.
I'm touched by luck, and like
Yeah.
this is my destiny. I am meant to be something so freaking great.
That's true.
And
That's
so
true.
he's just like, and so so much of what happens later, I was just so awed by, and this has happened, like it happens so many times, but every time he's in danger, even in that first chapter when he's like running back and the tide is,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
boat,
yeah.
the ship is going away, they can't stay any longer,
Right.
and he's running, and then hears all these voices and whatever, and suddenly he's like, no, I am meant for greater things, so I'm just going to go. So how much is it
Yeah.
that like destiny plays a role, which is predestined,
Correct.
versus how much do you chart your own because you believe in a certain destiny, right?
That's true. And what's interesting is that for Kenneth, it actually worked out that way in the sense that he truly believed it was his destiny, and he
Manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. He manifested that like path
Yeah.
for him, for himself. But for Winthrop and Althea, it was like they also truly believed that, but like I feel it's also about owning the path that life takes you on. And that's one thing that I loved about Winthrop's arc, which is where he resists so much. He resists Like in the first book, especially,
Everything.
like every single thing that the crew asks him to do, he's like, no, I'm
And
not
as
doing
a
this.
reader, you're like, I'm totally sympathizing with you. I
Yeah.
totally empathize with you. You shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't have to
Correct.
like climb on the
Yeah.
whatever, the rig or whatever.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to like clean the deck
Yeah.
or like
Or have to fight that bear, right? Like
Yeah.
when they go to
Oh my
that,
God.
yeah, where like he's being forced to fight the bear to show his like strength.
yeah.
Uh,
And because he's the monk or a monk or
Yeah.
a monk in training or whatever it is,
Yeah.
he has the righteous like parts
Exactly.
that he can use as defense like
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So as a reader, you're like, yeah, man, like don't do
Yeah.
that thing. You're
Yeah.
totally right. So like
Correct.
don't do it.
Wintrow, because he was put on this path of like joining the live ship and then becoming Kenneth's sort of like second mate and or first mate and going down that path of piracy, I feel like he discovered so much more of himself and his potential that he might not have been able to like discover had he gone down the path of being a monk. And for me, that was just really beautiful because yes, he was like an academic. He could do like the stained glass things, but like his bravery, his courage, his empathy, his strength and resilience. I don't know if any of this would have come out had he
No.
gone down the path of being a monk, but it
Yeah.
all came out because he was put down this path. And I just feel like he became who he was truly meant to be.
Yeah. And how many people remind him? I mean,
Yes.
Vivesha reminds him,
Yeah.
Etta reminds him, somebody else reminds
Yeah.
Like people are constantly telling him that, bro, like
Yes.
just embrace
Own it.
Yeah, just embrace where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an interesting and important lesson even for Althea, right? Because she's like so convinced that her whole life's purpose is this
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah.
And then when she finds this ship 3 books later, she's like, fuck. She's not even.
Yeah.
She's not even.
She doesn't even want to be back.
And I love that she takes so many twists and hits and
Yeah.
like, and you know, when she goes into those like islands and she's skinning the
Yes.
animal, the seals or whatever
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
and like she learns all these like great lessons about
And she becomes really good at it also.
Yeah.
She's just like, this is what I was meant to do. But no, Althea has bigger things in life, I think.
And I think that was where they first brought the dragons into, right? Like there was a wink and a nod to like
Yes, because the island, I think, is
Like
like
the-
shaped like a dragon
either
or
the
something. So it's
island
like
or
a
mountain or
sleeping
something.
dragon
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that this whole destiny thing was like a really interesting thing even for Kenneth because so much of it is like him staunchly believing that this is meant for him. He is meant to be the king of the Pirate Isles and
Yeah.
he is meant for greatness.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about this whole manifestation thing and all the Instagram reels that we see about manifestation. And I was like, oh my God, they should totally, like, Kenneth has switched on Instagram. And
Yeah.
he's basically
He knows.
manifesting.
He knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the really like, I know we'll get into Kenneth because there's so much to
But
talk
also,
about Kenneth.
can I tell you, this whole destiny thing, also for all the ships, all of them,
That's true. Because
Right?
even for Paragon, right? Like,
or
Paragon.
Vivesha, or Ophelia, like
Yeah.
all of them thought this is the life that they were destined for, a certain life.
Correct. Yeah.
And some of them have lived out that life. Like
That's
Ophelia has
true.
lived out many generations.
And
But,
she's
like-
happy with it. I
Yeah.
think she's happy. Paragon and Vivesha struggled. Because
Yeah.
like I feel like, and that's a really like nice thing about live ships as well, which is that they're kind of like children and
Yeah.
they have to grow up after they are quickened. Is it called quickened?
Yeah.
Yeah, after they're quickened. And so it's also kind of like a coming of age story
Yeah.
of these of these ships. And with Paragon, I think what is interesting is like how much he has to unlearn at the beginning and then relearn and then unlearn again once he meets Kenneth
Yeah.
and like goes through that trauma again of like seeing what this boy has become.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's had his own journey and
Yeah.
path as well.
And in fact, I think we should just use this segue to talk about the characters because
yes,
it is definitely one of the best, if not the best thing about this series.
truly.
I mean, we can just take three characters or 4 characters and break down and talk about like maybe
Yeah.
just what we like about them and what we don't like about them or whatever.
exactly.
But I just think that like the amount of work that has gone into making their stories so
Yes.
hefty
Yeah,
and so real and so meaty, but also without anything for show. It's just like
Yeah.
literally they're so different. All of them are so different. Their
Exactly.
stories are different. Their learnings are different. and it's never shallow. Not one of them, even if they're like a sub character. Like
Yeah.
Selden, he's a baby. He's barely
But
even
like he
there.
becomes so important
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
Like his bond with Tintaglia is just like he's the only one who truly like understands her or knows how to at least rein her in.
Yeah.
It's not even like Malta and Rain who are, I think, becoming
Yeah.
elderlings
Yeah,
by the end
yeah,
of it. And so he's the one who like has that special bond, and like I don't want to say much because I've read the later series, but he is an important character,
Yeah.
and he will become, I think,
Though
an important character later on
A
as well.
small asterisk for me here was
Yeah.
that, like, at some point, I was like, I didn't understand his. I felt like the transition between him being a child and becoming like this child man who
Yeah.
suddenly, like, at the table, he's like, I want to say, I want to be able, like, I felt like it was
Yeah.
little sudden.
That's true, but I think it's because the time that they spent in that underground
thing.
city, like the Elderling city, I have a feeling that there was some sort of like exchange in consciousness between him and Tintaglia
Yeah.
at that time, because Selden, I think, is also becoming an elderling.
He is, yeah, because he's.
He has the scaling. So like elderling, Selden, Malta, and Rain, I feel like you'll see them becoming a little bit more like otherworldly in later books, and even by the end of this series,
Yeah.
I feel like because I feel like there is a shared consciousness between the
Yeah.
dragons and elderlings, and I
Yeah.
think that's what's made him to be this like sort
Yeah.
of completely different character by the
Yeah.
like as what
Yeah.
he started off
Yeah.
as being, and at the end of the book. So
Yeah.
for me, it was that, but I agree the switch was very sudden.
Yeah.
Which was also the case, I felt a little bit with Malta in terms of her switch. I felt like she also suddenly became very mature very quickly.
I thought so too.
And so, yeah, we can get into Malta later.
But it was still better than Selden in the
yeah,
sense that
correct.
she was
there was
still,
more reason.
There was more reason.
Yeah.
She had suddenly become ugly. She like, or what she thought was ugly, or
Yeah,
whatever, those ridges that
correct.
she developed.
Exactly.
She suddenly like rowing the boat with that horrible man.
Yes.
I thought that whole thing was so funny.
Yeah.
Where like he's like, wench, bring me the boat, or what is this boat, or bring me this food, or whatever. And she's like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
We're in the middle of like nowhere.
That's
If
what-
you put one foot in this water, you'll become acid and you'll die.
Yeah.
Like, are you joking right now?
Yeah.
But he's
Exactly.
like, hey, wench.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny with like them floating down the river. And
Exactly.
she's poor Abla Nari trying
Exactly.
to
And she's the only one who's actually doing something, because
Yeah.
the satrap and Keki are just like useless, and they're just like, oh my god, we are dying. And Malta's like, shut up, you
Not even-
imbeciles. Like,
and she doesn't even have the Shakti.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the strength at one point to even give it back to them. Because she's just like, I
Yeah.
haven't had water in like
Exactly.
2 days. And like,
Yeah.
I cannot even like be sarcastic with you anymore. Or
Exactly.
whatever. But so who were your favorite characters?
So I started off by
Like,
really
let's both pick 2, but you start
yeah.
off.
So I started off by really, really liking Althea in the first book, just because I feel like I'm always drawn towards that like strong, fierce character who's just like F the patriarchy. Like I'm always drawn to those characters. But by the end of the series, my 2 favorite characters were Malta and Kenneth.
Ooh.
These 2 were my absolute favorite characters.
And is that like because you relate to them, or is it
No,
because
I don't think it's not because I relate to them. I don't relate to them at all. Like Kenneth is a horrible
Yeah.
person.
I'm like, Shruti.
Yeah. It's like,
Is there something I don't know
yeah.
about you?
Are you trying to tell me something? But I think it's just the way that she has developed both of these characters, and my internal struggle of trying to figure out what I feel about them, and that constant thing of like, first I like hated Malta, and then I ended up like really, really, really liking her and feeling very protective for her. So that like change in my emotions, I
Yeah.
think like that's why I really, really, I
Yeah.
didn't connect to her or with her in any
Yeah.
way, but I just felt very strongly
Yeah.
for this like this child essentially.
Yeah.
And with Kenneth, I think it's just the way he's written. He's like he's not someone who I like, and he's not someone who, you know, like actually I do think about him a lot just because he's so like well written.
Yeah.
But it's not like someone that like I want to protect, or like, you know, like how I feel like this character is my baby. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just he's a character that just made me think so much, and I'm just constantly thinking about
Yeah.
how she's crafted this person who is so despicable, but who you still empathize with.
Yeah. I mean,
And
he's
so-
definitely my favorite character for sure.
Yeah.
And favorite character, not favored.
Yes, exactly. Same.
Favorite character, not favored.
Yeah.
So I, like you, and I think this is true for pretty much anybody who comes into the book,
Yeah.
is that you start off saying, I love Althea,
Yes.
right? And like, actually, because you get the first chapter, you get Kenneth, and then before that you get the serpents, you're
Yeah.
like, ah,
Yes.
whatever. And then like you finally get Althea, and you're like, yes, I
Yeah.
can champion this. I want to
Yeah.
know if she's gonna make it, and like, and you're sure that something's gonna go wrong, and she,
Exactly.
whatever. And then Kyle just like beats her and like
Yeah.
imprisons her or whatever, right? Slaps her or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like fully sucked into her story, and you're very invested in what Veronica is doing and all of that.
Correct.
But then Kenneth just starts growing on you only from like,
Completely.
oh, what is this guy up to?
Yeah.
Why are the fates, why is destiny not just slapping him in his face?
Exactly.
When is he ever going to be served justice? But then the
Yeah.
minute you think that, okay, he's fucked up, he's going to do this, and like he's going to get it for this,
Yeah.
he gets rewarded even more. Like
Yeah.
people come to him and they like, wow, they celebrate him. You're
Yeah.
fleeing these slaves,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, should I also be feeling like this
Yeah.
about this guy? Like,
Exactly.
he's such a confusing character.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, how do I so this whole, I feel like this whole 3 books, she just mind fucks with you. By she, I mean Robin Hobb. 'Cause
Completely.
she's constantly like,
Completely.
love him, don't love him,
Yeah.
love him, don't love him, love him, don't love him.
It's like a toxic relationship where you don't know how to feel about your partner. That's like Kenneth. I feel where
and
you're
he's
just like,
such a good villain.
because you're being manipulated as a reader by Kenneth, because like that, it's like you know what he's thinking because Robin Hobb writes the thoughts,
Yeah.
but then you also see what happens and like how he's also bringing about change, and then you feel like, oh, but maybe it's okay. And so I feel like you're also being manipulated as a reader, and that was the most interesting thing about his
Yeah.
character and this book for me, because
And bro,
it's like
how he died.
yeah,
How he died, and everything that happens in the middle, right? Like
yeah,
his little charm on his wrist,
Yes.
his relationship with Etta.
yeah,
Like he is her savior. He actually
Correct.
does literally pick her up and bring
Yeah.
her on board the ship
yeah,
and saves her from whatever she's meant to do.
correct,
And like he does do all these amazing things.
exactly.
With also in his own head, he's like, oh, I did this amazing thing. He's
Yeah.
only surprised.
Exactly.
You know?
But the thing is, like, he's also so surprised when things work out in his favor,
Yeah.
because he thinks he's going to be like screwed over so many times, and then suddenly it works out for him, and
Yeah.
he's like, oh, maybe I am destined for this. Maybe
Yeah.
I am like God sent.
Yeah.
Maybe I am like meant for this.
Yeah.
And you see, because like he's also constantly like, he's a very, very insecure person. He's extremely insecure. He's extremely hateful, and he cannot tolerate anyone else taking his power. Even if it's like his first mate who he feels like, oh, this guy's gonna turn against me,
Yeah.
he's like, I need to kill him. If it's
And
anyone,
he thinks that so many times. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, now that's it. This
Yeah,
I guess we have to
exactly.
get rid of him. I guess
Exactly.
we have to get rid of Bintro.
yeah, and same with Etta. Etta
Yeah.
and Bintro, there are so many times where he feels like these people are becoming problematic, I need to get rid of them. But then they do something to like support him, and he's like, oh, okay, I can let them be.
Yeah.
And so like you can see that he's just a very, very insecure person. And I hated him for that. But then he also ends up doing things which are like magnificent and good for the world, like
Yeah.
for the world that Robin Hobb has created. And it's just,
I also like, sadly, I like the end or his past that Hobb chose for Kenneth, right? I like meaning to say that I think it's a topic that we need to discuss as a society. We need to talk about what it means to be abused as
Right.
a man,
yeah,
as a boy.
yeah,
We need to talk about what it means for an abuser to carry that abuse forward.
yeah,
When does it end? How does it end?
yeah,
And how do you let go? And when you don't
Yeah.
let go, what
What
does it do
happens?
to you?
Yeah.
Right? Like Althea had to let go, and Paragon
Correct.
was like, "Let it go, give it to me, let it
Yeah.
go." Paragon said the same thing to Kenneth. He said, "Let
Yeah.
it go, give it to me, let it go."
yeah.
But he kept it, and he
Yeah.
just would not accept that this is. And I think it's what's interesting there, and the lesson for me there is that it's not just letting it go, but it's accepting that ये मेरे साथ हुआ है. Like this has happened to me.
Yeah, so this is the very interesting thing, because you're right, Paragon does say the same thing to Kenneth. And I think Kenneth does let go of his emotions, but I don't think he. So I feel like there are two things, right? Like I think Althea deals with it, like she deals with it in a way, and she deals with it with Brashen in the end when she tells everything to Brashen. And so I feel like Paragon takes away some of her pain, but Althea has still dealt with the struggles and like everything that she's feeling.
Yeah.
Kenneth has just let go of everything without having dealt with it. And that is why I feel like he's also a little bit messed up in his brain and he's not able to grapple with so many things. Even like seeing Paragon again. And this is like where I hated Kenneth the most in the book is when he wants to burn Paragon. I was like angry sobbing when I read that because I'm just like, how dare you? How can you be such a cruel mother? Like seriously.
I know.
Like,
I mean, I actually wasn't. I was more shocked than like angry because I was just like, why would you do that? Like it's insane. But then I also felt so much for him because they finally revealed what had happened, and I felt so much for him because I was just like, you identify with what happened to you so much that you want to take the one thing that means the most to you and burn it, like just because that identity is so closely related to this thing that you love,
because he wants to run away from it. He wants to run away from everything that caused him pain rather than actually feel it and deal with it.
And the funny thing is, like, you know how Althea and Winthrop and all these guys talk about how bonded they are to like their life ship. It's just it's an inescapable. It's like a part
family.
of you dies. Not even family. I think it's more than family. Right? It's like I think
because you've given your blood to the ship.
Yeah, in the normal, I think in other books where dragons are there, it's like the bond between the dragon rider and the dragon, right?
Correct.
So it's like this. It's kind of how if you had a sibling, there's no other way to explain that bond. Like there's no other way to. So it's kind of like you can't escape it.
Yeah.
And for him to say, "I'm going to burn that," not because I don't like this ship. In fact, the ship has done so much to me that he knows every part of me. The most shitty parts of me that will never make me be a king. And I felt really, really bad for him. And then I felt bad that I was feeling bad.
That's what Kenneth does to you. Because like you empathize with him and you're like, why are you empathizing with this like horrible person?
I know. It's so crazy.
So at that point, I just felt anger. I was just like, no, I absolutely hate you, Kenneth. Like, how can you do that? Because again, Paragon had like a very, very special place in my heart also. I think Paragon is like number 3. So like number 1 is Kenneth, number 2 is Malta, and I think Paragon is my third favorite character in
it's
the...
It's strange. You know, when you're talking about Malta, I realized that I haven't ranked her anywhere at all.
Oh, really?
Like, I like her a lot, like her character. But I think second would be Paragon. But you go. Tell us about why you like Paragon.
Yeah, so with Paragon, I think it is just... Firstly, like, the whole idea of madness, right? The minute I knew that like Wizardwood is somehow linked to dragons, I predicted
when
that...
When did you know that? I want to know.
When did I know Wizardwood? I think in the first book itself.
Yeah.
In the first book itself, it sort of hinted that serpents, dragons, and live ships are somehow connected. And I sort of guessed that Wizardwood had something to do with it.
In that island, there was that guy who said that, you know, I've spotted 3 dragons or something.
Yeah, exactly. So then, that's... Okay, no, I won't. Okay. That's a different thing, but anyway.
Don't spoil it.
I won't. But, what was I saying? Yes. So with Paragon, I felt that it was basically his dragon, the dragon in him, and Paragon fighting. I did not guess that it was 2 dragons and Paragon fighting, like, for control of the ship. So, like, once it started happening to Vivacia, the more and more I got convinced that this is what drove Paragon mad.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, like, the idea of, like, who you truly are as, like, you know, like, what you truly believe in, who you truly are, I feel like those themes are brought out so well through Paragon. In terms of just like, it's a whole like coming of age story, which is what are your belief systems? What do you think about yourself as a person? What like who can you trust? Who can you not trust? Like all of these things. It's just like you're seeing someone grow up.
Child,
Yeah, and I just felt that was brought about in such a like he was very annoying at times as well, but also just very
Yeah.
sweet and childlike.
Yeah.
And I loved
Teenage
his
annoying, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I loved his connection with Amber
Yeah.
as well.
I
So,
think I like Paragon because of his arc. I had no idea where they were going with Paragon.
yeah.
And like not even in the second book, though the second book is so much about him, Flagship.
Yes.
But the third book, I feel like even before we got to know all of his like two people, two woods, two wizard woods, whatever, all of that, I just loved everything about him. I just thought he was like this child. I like how Amber describes him, which is like he's both a wise old man as well as like a teenager or whatever. But on the same line of things, I actually really, really, really liked Ophelia as well.
Yes.
I mean, she wasn't there for too much. She was there for like, I think, the first book towards the end or whatever.
But she's such like a matriarch.
I love her. I think she's adorable. She's so funny.
Yeah.
And like, I think I have a soft spot for like these ships because they're so protective of the family.
Yeah.
And
Truly.
It just felt so nice to know that there's something more. It's like having parents.
Yeah.
But not even parents, like grandparents or like angels or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
like
guardian angels.
Yeah. And it's so nice to know that like this is not rare in the sense that you've obviously seen this with dragons and dragon riders where dragons will protect their but this was different because it felt like
the bond was stronger.
Not the bond, there was almost like a hug. They felt like a hug. All of them felt like I can't live without you, like in this like weird. But then on the other hand, this whole thing of codependency that Vivacia and Althea have, which is I can't live without you, I can't live without you, and they both realize that actually I can live without you, and I do need to be independent, and I need to. So I feel like Paragon was also one of my bigger Paragon, Kenneth. I loved Ronica. I loved reading her chapters. Though I feel like they could have developed her a little bit more in the end, but it's fine that they didn't. I'm okay. I'm okay that Keffria took over for bits, right?
I like how, like, in the first book, I think my favorite chapters are when Ronica's just like with Malta. Like, I love her taking down Malta, and Malta's just like this petulant child being like, I want my daddy to come back home. And Ronica's just like,
and like to the very end, that poor girl, not poor girl, whatever, that annoying girl, to the very end, she's like, where's my daddy? Daddy's on the other ship and he's like dying.
But I'm also kind of like, I don't know what I feel about Kyle's death. I feel like I wanted Malta to see how pathetic her dad actually is before he died. But I also kind of like that she got like, she's been through so much. She'd been through so much by then that she like, he died her thinking, okay, like my dad loved me or whatever, just for maybe her sanity.
I mean,
I was like in two minds about like what I felt about that. Her dad
didn't give a shit about her. Let's just put it that way. He didn't give a shit about anybody but like whatever
himself.
He wanted to. But like, what I didn't like about that part was that it's fine if you think your dad died and you still thought that your dad loved you. That's fine. That's a sweet thing to have. But what I don't like is that, bro, I was like, this guy is a terrible guy. I need you to like hate him before he dies, or at least justify what everybody else has been talking about.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Because you've been like, oh, my daddy greatest.
Yes.
This whole time. Like, it's really not true.
More than hating her dad, where I wanted the emotion to go is like, I pity you. You're like, you're beneath me and you're pathetic and I pity you for who you are. Like, I wanted her to reach that emotion, which never happened, but that's what would have made me like satisfied. With like Kyle's arc especially. I like that he died because like he was useless. But
and I just love that, like with characters, right? Like with these villains, like you have Malta, and then you have Kyle, and then you have Kenneth. Anybody else? The Satrap.
He's just annoying. He's just like super annoying.
And there are such different villains. Like one is Malta, who begins as a villain, and then she ends up
a hero,
fully changing and a hero, and she's like, you want to see more of her again or whatever. And then you have Kyle, who remains a villain to the very end and loses power much before he actually dies. And then you have, and like, what an interesting villain Kyle too, because like, how villainous do you have to be?
He's just hateful.
Yeah.
He's just hateful. There is no other characteristic
Yeah.
characteristic apart from vile.
Yeah.
Like, he's very one-dimensional. I think he's one of the most one-dimensional characters
Correct.
in this
Yeah.
book.
But also,
But he's
how
just-
hateful do you have to be to like have your own son be branded a slave?
Yeah,
like
that's ridiculous.
that's insane to me,
Ridiculous.
right? That like he's just I can't understand him.
Yeah.
and
I don't understand Kyle
Yeah,
at
and
all.
like I feel like okay, so that's a second kind of villain who's just plain you hate him. Like,
Evil.
there's no
Evil.
yeah, there's just no other way to think about it. Then you have the satrap who's just stupid.
He's just the dumb villain.
Yeah, he's the dumb villain who you know I'd read this thing somewhere that said that stupid people are way worse than evil people because they don't know what they're doing. They just like throw shit
Exactly.
the way, and they're so much more dangerous because they just keep doing dumb shit, and then like the world just falls apart, and they're just still walking around thinking that they haven't done anything wrong.
And I think that describes the satrap like to the T.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah,
And then you have Kenneth.
Yeah, who's so confusing.
Multifaceted, layered, beautifully crafted.
Yeah. Have we missed out any other villain in this? I mean, maybe
Not
some
really.
villains.
Yeah. Like the second mate
mate,
whose
for
name
example.
we've forgotten. So clearly he's like inconsequential.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah. I'm actually really, really excited to see in like Tawny Man, right?
Yes.
I mean, I still have to do the Farseers
Yeah.
trilogy
Yes.
before I go to Tawny Man, but I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with the dragons.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to see, you know how like everybody's like, oh, Tintaglia is such a terror, like
Yes.
she thinks so much of herself and she's so
Yes.
self-centered and
Yes.
all of that jazz. I'm actually very excited to see where that goes and what's. I think that they're going to discover other, excavate and like discover other buried places like the Rain Wilds where there was elderling population along with the dragons, and I'm so excited to see like what the lore will be from there, like what was their history, why does she think she's so like high and mighty, and what does she call herself, the gods?
Yeah, she's like, they call themselves the Lords of the Sky and
Lords
the
of the Realm.
Seas. Yeah. Lords of the
Realm.
Sky, the Seas, and like everything, basically.
yeah. So I'm like really excited to see that. I'm also excited to see, this is the only dragon that we saw, so I'm kind of excited to see other dragons too and like what powers they may have, how they may bond with other like people.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about all of that, and I think that's what's gonna happen. Or more like I hope that's going to happen. But I also thought that the lore was so well done in the second book, right? Like all of the way they like the exposition of the lore too. It was slow. It was intentional. Through Rain and his dreams, and also in the third book where like through Malta, where she touches these things, then she's able to see how the elderlings lived, and so I'm very intrigued about like their lives as well, like what ended them.
Yeah.
Because like they go on and on talking about how the elderlings were like all that.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
Like. So I just want to know like what's so cool about them, like you know, that the humans aren't good enough or whatever.
Yeah. What I'm very like excited, or what I was very excited about at the end of the series, if I like look back, is I wanted to explore how these new elderlings would affect the world.
Sure.
So because we've heard through this how there were the old elderlings whose cities were destroyed and buried and like whatever. But now we have Rain, Malta, and Selden who have all become elderlings.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the more people like work with Tintaglia and excavate like other elderling cities, I feel like we'll have more and more people exposed to the magic and also become elderlings.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
And I want to see how that changes the world on like as a whole.
Yeah.
What that does, not just to like Bingtown, Calcid, and Jamalia, but like further on as we go to the other series with like the Six Duchies, which is like the realm of the Farseers, who are the rulers of the Six Duchies. So how it affects like everybody, like that's what I'm very interested to see.
I'm also like super interested about like the Six Duchies in general. Although I know that I've like read the first book, I didn't know that in that context at that point, right? And I think it's interesting that the way they sort of like talked about the serpents and the how the serpents are born and how they
Yeah.
not the serpents, how the dragons are born, and it's sort of
Yeah.
like a metamorphosis, and all of that lore was, I think, one of my favorite parts of the whole book,
Yeah.
because I like lore in general. I
Correct.
think there's so little of it in the world. It's
Correct.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, I just like knowing stories of my grandmother, my
Yeah.
grandfather, and like their grandmothers and their grandfathers.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so interesting to know how other people lived and like
Yeah.
magic unfolding. And
I also found the whole thing about the Others Island so interesting
Yeah.
because while like
Surya.
yeah, while like whoever those creatures are, the others, they're kind of like a sham in a way.
Yeah.
But there is prophecy to be found because Etta finds the little baby thing,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah,
she
yeah.
like recovers from the Others Island, and like she does have Kenneth's baby at the end
Yeah.
of the book. So there is some amount of prophecy, but where does that come from, and
Yeah.
why is that there? And so yeah, that's I'm really interested to understand what the Others Island is,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like does the whole thing of like prophecy and telling the future, does it actually come from there?
In that way, I'm actually quite excited about what happens to Malta from here. Like, I want to know in which land she goes to,
Yes,
what happens
yes.
between her and Rain, because I want to actually explore Rain a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Because we got quite a bit of him in the second book, and then I feel like we got lesser and lesser and lesser
Yes.
from him in the third book,
Yes.
which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But I would still like to see more from him because
Yeah.
I thought he was quite cool.
He was.
Yeah, and I just want to see like what happens to Malta now that her life, she changed because she had to change.
Yeah.
In the sense that she was thrown in these circumstances and she had to
Correct.
stop being a spoiled brat, right?
Yes.
So now I want to know now that like in peacetime,
Yes.
when like things are kind of chill and she knows who she is and like all of that, I wonder if she's going to become slightly bratty again.
Maybe, or like just bossy. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like she'll just boss over Rain and get her way because he's a softie.
He is for her, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. But you know what I really liked? With her, this is a slight detour from the lore thing, but
Yeah.
what I really liked with her was that she suddenly becomes practical, like Ronica
Yes.
always
Yes.
says that she should,
Yes.
and she becomes strategic in her thinking.
Yeah.
And she's like, what does the other person want? And how can
Correct.
we make them want
Correct.
this or not want this or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I liked how for me, more than anything, that's how she grew up.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
she started thinking like an adult.
Correct.
And
She started thinking like Ronica.
yeah.
And that
I know.
was the beautiful thing because like she was so like
Anti-Ronica.
yeah, like she thought her grandmother was just strict for no reason. She thought like this old woman is just bitter.
So unfashionable.
Yeah, so unfashionable, bitter, just wears horrible clothes, and I want to be young and pretty and like go to these balls
Hot,
and like
yeah.
and like I want to have money, and like this woman just keeps all of these fun things away from me.
Yeah, and she's so uncool, and like
Yes.
both of them are so frumpy.
Yeah.
And they just don't want me to be like, they want me to be boring. And like my
Exactly.
daddy, if he comes here, he will make sure I'm not boring because we both are not boring. And I'm
Exactly.
like, lady,
Yeah.
your dad
Seriously.
is not good for you.
But then later on, I feel like she embodies Ronica's spirit. Like she
Yeah.
becomes like
Yeah.
Ronica.
Yeah.
She also becomes herself, but
Yeah.
like so much of her strategic thinking and so much of her
How she handles Keki, how she handles
Exactly.
that whole boat, and like
yeah.
how she handles him
Yeah.
at all, right? The
Correct.
satrap. I mean.
Yeah. Is very Ronica.
Yeah.
Is
Very
very political.
tactical.
Practical, yeah.
And like full of tact, full of like clever thinking. If I displease him, will he just sell me out to like the Cal said, whatever.
yeah.
Um, these guys like
Correct.
even on the boat while they're doing that negotiation with Kenneth and all of that, she's so
Mhm.
practical and strategic and
Correct.
smart.
Yeah.
I liked how the author brought
Yeah.
her to that space. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to see where, if at all we ever see her again. I'm excited to see if she's going to still be a
Yeah.
brat in peace times.
I know. I know.
Or not. So the next thing that we'll do is we will talk about women,
Yes.
because we both really liked the idea of how women were put into these series in different circumstances
Yeah.
across literally their world. There was one in Jamelia, which was Cyrilla. You
Yeah.
had like few in Bingtown. You had Althea, who was
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you had Etta, who was a whore.
Yeah.
There was so much going on and so many different kinds of women with so
Yeah.
many different types of like approaches to life.
yeah.
That I think it's compelling that like we have to talk about it. It has to
Exactly.
be one of the best parts about the book. So
Yeah.
you tell me, who was your favorite woman and why?
Oh my gosh. I really liked Ronica. I know you mentioned that you really liked Ronica, but I also just really liked Kefria's arc. I think like someone who essentially had very like quote unquote like traditional values of like I want to be a wife. I don't want this harsh life that my mom had. I want to be a wife. I want my husband to go out there, do the dirty work and be supported by him. I want to take care of my kids. I want to, and also a very like sort of a romanticized like
Yeah.
feeling of or like thinking of the world and life, which is like, oh, I love my husband. I love when we go for balls. I love when we go out. Like,
It
you
reminds
know,
me so much of like some of the women in my circle
yeah,
in
who are like disconnected from reality.
yeah.
I
I mean,
feel.
even the women who have jobs
Yeah.
and like they're still like me like my husband
Yes.
and like my kids and like
Yeah.
they kind of get disconnected from their friends. They kind of get
Yeah.
disconnected from everything else that was them before
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that so much because they suddenly like it feels like they've built a story around.
Yeah. And I feel like she was someone who was firstly very much manipulated by Kyle, but also someone who was trapped in this her own build. Like she had built walls around herself. It was like also kind of like, I don't want to victim blame her, but it's also her doing. It's her conditioning, her choosing to stay in that
Yeah.
place because she wants to be disconnected from anything that's like hard in life.
Yeah.
And
And she
see
wants to
her,
have this like totally easy. I'm gardening a little bit. I'm
Yes,
baking a little bit. I'm taking care of the
exactly.
kids.
Exactly.
Like this like kitty
Yeah.
party life.
Correct. And then
But that
when
you have to pay for that too.
oh, 100%,
Yeah.
it's like even that life comes with
A cost.
a cost, and the cost is having that shitty husband who is literally like sailing a slaver, and you're going to use slave money to create that life that you want. And when like shit hits the fan and when things go completely wrong is when she also realizes what her values are, and also that she needs to have her own voice, she needs to have a
Her
say,
own personhood, yeah.
and she needs to stand for something. She can't just always rely on someone else to take charge. She needs to take charge of her life. And I
And-
loved seeing that.
Can I tell you, it isn't because I don't think the message there was because every woman has to be independent. I don't think that was it at
No,
all. It was
no.
just you are your own person.
Yes.
You are in charge of being your own person. You have to
Yeah.
have your own values and you have to take care
Yeah.
of yourself.
Yeah, and it's not that, but it's also that yes, you can choose to have whatever life you want to have, but there are consequences.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to live through those consequences and own your life in any way. And for that, you need to be able to stand for something. You need to be able to understand yourself firstly,
Yeah.
and understand who you are as a person. And she does that by the end of the series.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
I loved
it so
it.
interesting that such
Yeah.
a weak character is actually one of your favorite female characters
Yes.
of the
It is like
series.
it's someone who, yeah, you're exactly right. It's someone who's considered weak, but like I loved again
And
just
she doesn't
seeing
even
her
have
journey.
such a big but she doesn't even have such a big arc or
No.
like such a big whatever, but still like she is someone that is so
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
as a woman, right?
Exactly. And this is something you said to me yesterday, which like I kept thinking about as well. And it's kind of like you see her transformation from a weak character to someone who has more agency and is like taking control of her life and is becoming stronger. And at the beginning of the series, Ronica is that, and Kefria is behind.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the series, it's Kefria who has more chapters, more
Yeah.
like control of the narrative, like control in the narrative,
Yeah.
and Ronica is taking the back seat.
Yeah.
And I loved that, like she did
Shift.
that literary transition as well
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
like the amount of character you see on the page,
Yeah.
and it was
And
beautiful.
that's what's also cool, like as a slight aside,
yeah,
that she does this all the time in the book where she
Yes.
takes these like sub characters, then she makes them main characters, and then she takes the main characters and she moves
Yeah.
them sub characters, and you don't even realize.
yeah,
I didn't realize for a long time that I haven't heard from Ronica directly.
yeah,
And that Kefria was talking all the time. Suddenly, when I
Exactly.
realized it, I was like, oh, I haven't heard from
Yeah.
Ronica for quite a long
Yeah,
time.
Yeah,
Even Cyrilla, she like brings her into focus and then she kind of takes her out of focus.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it at all. Like, I didn't mind that.
exactly, because she ties everyone's arc at the end.
Yeah.
Also, like you see where Cyrilla and Ronica end up,
Yeah.
and I was happy with it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because at one point I really thought that one of the main players is going to be Cyrilla,
Yeah,
but she wasn't.
she wasn't.
Because she didn't play her part. Like, she didn't
Yeah.
do as much as she should or could
Yeah.
have done,
Yeah,
which she, I guess, rescued herself towards the end by saying, oh,
Yeah.
like, I will do this and I will,
Correct.
take care of this part of it or whatever for you. But
Correct.
she could have done a lot more. She didn't step up
Yeah.
in time.
She didn't.
And
She
she kept
didn't.
like hiding behind that guy, and she kept.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she had her stuff going on too.
Correct.
Um,
But I also liked her arc because I felt like for her also it was about reclaiming power, and she does that in her own way at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
But tell me about Ronica, because I know that she's one of your favorites.
well, she is my favorite, but actually, I'm going to choose to talk about not Ronica.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Vivesha
Right.
and Ophelia.
Yes.
Because technically Vivesha is a Westrid, of course,
Yeah.
and they are female characters in the book.
Yes.
And I loved Ophelia because she's so motherly and like
Yeah.
at the same time she has so much humor. So she's like your
Yeah.
favorite aunt.
Yes,
You know?
she totally is. She's the aunt who like goes out and has adventures,
Yeah.
and then
And
gossips
gossips.
with you. Exactly. Who you like sit like cross-legged and be like, "Acha, abhi like batao." Like-
Yeah. She's so fun, but she's also the aunt who you can go and say, "I messed up," and
Yeah.
she'll hug you anyway, and
Yeah.
she won't like
Correct.
scold you as much as your parents do or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? She's really cool. I really like
Yeah.
her. And then I like Vivesha's arc anyway because I feel like
Yes.
she starts off like this whiny little child, which
Yeah.
is fair. She's like a teenager when she's just
Yeah.
quickened and she's just trying to figure out who she is, and she doesn't
Yeah.
have her parents, so to speak, like Althea
Yeah.
or Ephraim.
Correct.
And so she kind of is lost. But then I like what happened to her towards the end too, where she herself realizes I don't need anybody at all.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's not that I'm saying that defiantly. I'm not saying, oh, I
Yeah.
don't need you
Yeah.
because you weren't there when I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
looking for you or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like she kind of steps into her own
Totally.
role in her life.
Exactly. She also realizes who she is as a person,
Yeah.
which is
And she
very much
goes-
the theme for a lot of characters.
Yeah, like
But
so much for her was I want to belong to somebody.
yes.
And I personally feel I relate to that as a person.
Yeah.
I feel like we all want to belong to somebody, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something that like personally for me has been a thing where I've been like I want to belong to somebody, and I don't mean
Mm.
like romantically, right?
Yeah.
I just feel
You
like
want someone to be your home.
yes, yeah. And so for her, like to think that she's lost Althea, and then she's like desperately trying to look for it in Winthrop,
Yeah.
and then she's desperately trying to look for it in Kenneth.
Kenneth.
And then she realizes actually I'm such a boss. On my
Yeah,
own.
exactly.
And I love that arc,
Yeah.
and I definitely, I mean, I wish. Is it okay? Don't tell me. But I'm like dying to know if there's more of some of the life ships because I don't feel like
Yeah.
my relationship with them has to end yet.
Yeah, I know.
I'm excited to see what role they continue playing while the dragon story unfolds.
Exactly.
As well.
Speaking of Vivesha, one of the things I hated was when Bolt took over her. But then I also feel that Bolt's personality melding with Vivesha is what gave Vivesha the courage to be herself and her
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
Because like Bolt was always a part of her. She
Yeah.
just never acknowledged her.
Wait. So,
Bolt is the dragon.
No.
Yeah.
I'm making that face because I'm trying to remember how did they resolve the fact that Althea, like, she doesn't believe Althea's rape, right? Or she.
Yeah, Vivesha doesn't believe.
So how do they resolve that? Does she eventually believe her? Does she
No,
not?
I think at the end, Althea just like, she's, I guess, just reconciled with the fact that like,
Because she literally
nobody
gaslights her
believes.
almost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I hated that. I
Yeah.
absolutely hated that
Because she said
Vivesha
you
did
used
that.
to believe that boy, like in the
Correct,
past,
correct.
whatever, right? Like
I
the
hated that
date rape or
Vivesha
whatever.
did that. In the end, I think Althea just like gives up.
Yeah.
But
And
I
she starts
love
looking
that.
for the
I love that
validation.
Paragon believes her in the end, and that Paragon takes her pain.
Yeah. In fact, it's a good time to also talk about the Kenneth's end. What do you think about Kenneth's end? I know we talked about it yesterday, so none of this is going to be a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
But I do want to discuss how Kenneth ended. For me, it felt a little anticlimactic. What do you
For
think?
me, also, it felt anticlimactic, and connecting it a little bit with like women characters. What I sort of I didn't like, even though I know it was very realistic, was how Etta, even though he knew that Kenneth R-worded, I'm censoring myself because of YouTube, but like R-worded Althea, she knew that, but after Kenneth dies, she just becomes like Pativrata again, or whatever. Like, I mean, she goes back to like mourning him, and I understand why she does that. I understand that it's very realistic. but that's what I didn't like about Kenneth's death. Is first, yes, it was very anticlimactic, but that's also life, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
at times. But I also didn't like how Etta's journey kind of like regresses back to like being attached to Kenneth in some way. I
Yeah.
wanted her just to be like, I don't need this guy anymore. I'm like this badass boss
Yeah.
woman by myself, and I can rule the Pirate Isles
Yeah, I
without like mourning this person who was.
Yeah, I don't think that life works that way. I
Yeah.
think that
Exactly.
you know, she spends pretty much all her time thinking that this man is her savior,
That exactly. Yeah,
right? And because
yeah.
she thinks that this man is her savior, when he dies, even though he has died such a dishonorable death in her
Yeah.
mind, she still mourns the
Yeah.
idea of him,
Exactly.
of this
Exactly.
guy that she worshipped. Even like
Yeah.
towards the end, when the serpent helped him and that happened and this
Yes.
happened,
Yeah.
the serpents
He
are
had become
following
like
him.
larger than life.
Yeah.
He was no longer Kenneth for like his crew members and like people on the ship and Etta and Winthrop. He had
Yeah.
become
A symbol.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I think she was mourning that.
Yeah,
for
the
me-
loss of that.
Yeah, for me
Yeah.
though, like I kept thinking, oh, he's not dead. He can't be dead. I'm sure like he'll come back, and not because I wanted him to live,
Yeah.
but because I was like, I'm sure that like
This
there'll
can't be the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that like in some time they'll come back and like show us him dying in a more
Yeah.
like dramatic manner or
Yeah.
whatever, right? But that didn't happen, and I was initially disappointed, but then I thought about it quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I was like, actually maybe it's better this way,
Yeah.
because maybe it's less, I don't know, shiny.
It's also just life, right? I mean, like he did become this like larger than life character and person,
Like
but
I'm trying to
like
think of Hitler, for example.
Yeah,
right?
but in
Like,
the
there's
end-
nothing great that like he went underground and then that's it.
Yeah,
Like, no-
but I think like that's what happens with villains. Sometimes I feel like the best like fate or the thing that they deserve is that they just die like
In a
like,
very, like,
in a very meh
unmentionable-
way where it's not like, oh my god, they're martyred or they're like they
There's
die
no
on like
glorious-
some very dramatic way, whatever. They just
Yeah.
die
Yeah.
because like that's what they deserve.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about character relationships. So we've talked about characters, but I
Yeah.
do want to talk about character relationships because there's a lot there's so many like pearls of wisdom
Exactly.
that come out of just like these conversations,
Yeah.
dialogues that are happening between two characters, or
Yeah.
how they've been developed over time, over like a book or whatever.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, who are your two jodies?
Right.
Right.
I think the one that's like it's actually a very short kind of relationship, but which I thought was like very impactful was Keki and Malta, especially when they're on the boat with the satrap.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because Malta has such a bad impression of Keki in the beginning, and you can tell that she just thinks like this woman is hopeless, and she's so like she has such a
And Cyril has
impression.
told us that before.
Yeah, and because like Keki is like shown to be this person who's very subservient, yeah, airheaded, subservient, like always being like, oh, satrap, oh, Costco, whatever, and very meek in this. But then you realize she's doing that to survive, and how Malta learns from her to then like also survive,
Adapt
and
that
how her respect for Keki just increases gradually. And that's also what's really interesting about Malta's character is just how she learns from every single woman who she meets. She learns from Ronica, she learns from Keki, and then she also learns from Althea, who she's also resented her
And the
entire
satrap,
life.
right?
And
Because-
the satrap, like the political maneuvering
Correct,
and
correct.
things.
Correct.
So I really like that, and I really like how Hobb doesn't like, even if a female character is a little like, she portrays them as a little silly at first, she portrays them as weak, whatever. She elaborates on their character. She gives them so much more than just that one attribute of being silly.
Yeah.
And so initially, even I was like, what is this Keki character?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, she's actually really smart.
And like I was surprised that they kept her alive. You know, like
Yeah.
on the boat and stuff. I was
Yeah,
just like, okay,
yeah.
what is going on? Like, why has she been kept alive? I thought that she'd be
Exactly.
like dead on the
Yeah.
boat, like because
I know.
she was anyway. She had drunk all that water like a dumbass, and like,
Correct.
why would
Exactly.
why would you drink water? Which is very clearly told
That's
you don't
what-
drink, right?
Yeah.
But it's very cool. So I really liked Althea and Ophelia.
Right.
I
yes.
thought it was the cutest relationship, and she
yeah.
desperately needed that aunt.
She needed that comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I didn't respect her because she had been going through such a tough time from boat to
Yeah.
boat, and then she got kicked out.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, oh God, now she's going to go into another boat, and like she's
Yeah.
going to have such a tough time, and this poor lady, whatever. But then she gets this
Ophelia.
amazing comfort from
Yes.
like Ophelia, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, Ophelia, I want my own Ophelia. Like I want.
I know. I want my own live ship.
I know. Oh my God, or a dragon. I mean,
Yes.
I'll take anything.
Exactly.
But a live ship, I think.
Yeah.
No. I want a dragon.
Yeah.
because okay, whatever. Like, since I can't have either,
Yes.
I would like an Ophelia.
Yeah.
She's
know.
just such a. I don't know. I want to see. I wish I could see more from her,
Yeah.
but she's not. I guess.
I also liked how she was the only live ship who like didn't like she handled the whole revelation of them being a dragon inside them really well. She's like, this is my life and whatever, I'm gonna live it the way I want. Whereas everyone else went through like this identity
Yeah.
crisis.
She's like,
Whereas
I know who I am,
Ophelia's like I've lived my life and like
Yeah, like
whatever.
that proper auntie, right? She's
Yes.
like, मुझे पता है.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I don't need to get into
Correct.
some
Exactly.
like identity
Very
crisis.
sure of herself.
I want to be her.
Yeah.
When I grow up.
Exactly.
I want to be like
Yeah.
this. Her gossip thing is too cute,
Yeah.
and I love how like Garg,
Yes.
Grag.
Grag. Yes.
So Grag and like his father, I love how they're so like that to his Ophelia.
Yeah.
It's like this, like typical of this aunt relative you
Yes.
have in your like family, where they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's like that only. She
Yes.
like gossips all the
Yeah.
time, and like
Correct.
so whenever she's doing like this, whatever, like sunawing or whatever she's doing with them,
Like,
they're
this
like,
is
yeah,
just
this
like,
is
yeah,
her only. You know
correct.
Ophelia, and everybody's like, you know Ophelia,
Yeah.
you know Ophelia. It's the sweetest thing. I love her
Exactly.
part. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and I think that the second one for me was, of course, Wintro and Etta, who I
Oh.
absolutely loved their relationship, and I loved how both of them were instrumental in getting each other on like the path that they were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And how like when Wintro was just like melancholy and be like, "Nahi, mujhe monk banna hai," like, Etta was just like, dude, like this is what life has dealt you. Just like own it and become like the best version of yourself in this life. And similarly, when Etta was just like hung up about Kenneth, I loved how Wintro basically told her that like you can do all of this without him. You don't need him to do whatever you have to in life.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved
how there was this part where I think she was planning to have a baby or she was planning to tell him or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yes.
But she was like, as usual, pining away about how
Kenneth.
she's not getting attention from
Yeah.
Kenneth or something like that.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and he says, we all want what we desperately want
Yeah.
is reflected in who we're like chasing after. Like our
Yeah.
biggest dreams are big for ourselves. We hope that person can like fulfill.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, what is this philosophy book?
Yes.
Like, this feels like a TED Talk. What is going on?
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
just, and there were several of those TED Talks, like
Exactly.
through the whole thing.
Just
right?
like she just like randomly would drop this
Yeah.
like
Through a
philosophy thing.
conversation,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
through a conversation, through a dialogue,
Yeah.
she'd just like throw in this like pearl of wisdom, and you're like, oh my God, this is so relevant to my life right now.
Correct.
So I really liked how they were developed as well.
Yeah. So there was one last thing that we wanted to talk about, and we didn't touch upon it when we were discussing the lore, and that is Amber as a character, because I feel like she is definitely connected to the lore, and she also like knew things. Like she had a lot of prophecies in her head, and she definitely is connected in some way to like the dragons, to I don't know what, but like she was a very interesting
First of all,
character.
I don't know why she's telling you that she doesn't know, because she has read forward.
I have read
not.
forward, but I'll tell you, I still don't know.
Oh, you don't?
I still don't know.
I don't know if you should have revealed that at all. But yeah, I thought Amber was such a cool character. Like I just
Yeah.
loved how, I mean, in my mind, she's like, even in the beginning when she like dresses as a slave
Yes.
and she goes aboard Ophelia,
Yes.
fix her and like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that part where Ophelia's like, can you do this thing with my hair and make me more
Yeah.
fashionable or whatever?
Yeah.
While you're just fixing on my burnt hands.
Yeah.
Also, can you like make my hair more like,
Exactly.
it's very dated. And I was like, oh my God, Ophelia, can we please have one of you for real? Anyway, I mean, I keep getting distracted with Ophelia because
Yes.
she's so like
Yeah.
my whole heart. But
Yes.
I wish like sometimes when I was like listening, when I would read Ophelia's parts, I would be like, I hope that Vivisha gets to be this person.
Yes.
And actually, it's strange, but like I really wanted to like Vivesha a lot more through the book. I really like her, and we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to bond with her a lot more to the end of the book.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I did as much as I
No.
bonded with Paragon or Ophelia.
Same. I bonded a lot more with Paragon than I did with Vivesha.
Yeah, I mean, Paragon was, of course, he had his own book, like
Yes,
you know, a
exactly.
second book. But
Exactly.
anyway, coming back to Amber
Yeah.
and her relationship with Paragon and her the whole air of mystery behind like how she can carve this wood at all, whether
Yes.
it's wizard wood or not.
Yes.
The whole mystery behind who she is. I don't know, like there's this when I close my eyes and I think about Amber, I picture this woman with like long hair and like this pretty, like what do they call her? White angel or some
Yeah.
some lady with a white light or
Yeah.
whatever they call her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just so mysterious and so cool, and then like she inspires Althea. She is the caretaker of Paragon to a large extent. She's just this character that lives but isn't really tied to anybody. And there's so much mystery and aura around her that I'm like actually sad that I don't yet know where she's from. Who's this guy that she pines for? Like towards the end, they start don't. I feel like I don't even want to look at her.
I have such a smile on my face because
said
everything that she said, I already know.
Whatever. So we'll get there at some point. If you haven't read it, I know you're like fully sympathizing with me right now. But anyway, the point is that I really like her. I liked I thought she was going to die in that fire. By the way, I really thought like,
Same.
when Paragon
I
died,
was really worried about her and Ration.
I was very sure that, for example, I was telling you yesterday or whatever, whenever we discussed this, that like. I was very sure that Kenneth was going to die. This I knew.
Yeah.
In the end, like there's no way to
He
save a
had
character
to.
like that.
He
right?
had to die.
Even if he turned out to be without the R thing that
The
he
gold.
did to
even if he
Althea.
had like a redemption arc.
Correct. Even
Yeah.
if he had redeemed himself, he had to die
Yeah.
because he's done too many bad things for him,
Exactly.
for anybody to justify his existence towards the end. But I also very much thought that Paragon's not going to die. Like I was very certain that he wasn't going to die. But in that fire, I thought that we would lose Amber.
Right.
One of the cool things about the book is that she hasn't necessarily just killed off people. You know what I'm saying? This Robin Hobb, she hasn't just. So it's so easy. A lot of times when you read like books on writing, they tell you that like if your characters are being boring, if the story is getting boring, just kill off somebody and everything's going to get really exciting.
Yeah.
Robin Hobb never does that. It's lazy writing, if you ask me, and she never does that. She doesn't kill people just for fun.
Yeah.
To make things spicy and interesting.
Correct.
I say this
or shock value.
Yeah,
like,
I say this while still really enjoying George R.R. Martin. Okay?
Yes.
I really enjoyed reading all of his books, incomplete as they were.
Yeah. Same.
But that said, I'm glad that this isn't the path that Robin Hobb has taken.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually really interested to see what happens to Amber, and I want to know more about. She did get burnt, right? In the end, in the fire, she got a bit burnt or whatever.
I think.
If I'm not wrong.
I think so.
I
can't remember.
I was kind of excited
I can't remember if she also got burnt by the serpent venom or that was just Brashen and Althea.
Oh yeah, many people got burnt.
Many people got burnt by the serpent venom, and I don't know if that had
Oh,
any
I must
effect on
say
them.
this. Those chapters with the serpents
Were the most boring.
they were so boring.
And you know, I think it's like unanimous.
Yeah.
Every review I've read,
really?
every video I watched, everyone hates the
Oh
serpents.
yeah, I've not watched anything. I have no idea. I only talk to you.
Yeah.
But Robin Hobb, seriously, like
Yeah, those were really, really boring.
if you're watching this video by any chance,
Yeah.
just letting you know, our 2 cents of like feedback was like that was not necessary, bro.
Yeah.
Like at
Like
least
such
so much
long,
footage.
such long chapters with them in them, with them in there were not.
Yeah.
That was not necessary.
And like Malkin was this, and Cesuria was. I'm like, oh, and I'm not kidding. I didn't skip anything this book except for a few pages. Like I would just be like, skim read it because
Yeah.
I'm like nothing's gonna happen. They would have wandered somewhere, and then Malkin got really tired.
Yeah, it's like even though I knew they were linked to the lore of the live
dragon.
ships and the dragons and whatever, even then I was a bit bored while reading those
yeah.
chapters.
And I was because nothing happened. Nothing happened in those chapters. Malkin was bored. Then they were like, do we believe? Do we not believe?
Correct.
Do we believe?
Yeah.
Do we not believe?
And then it's like finally when Winthrop meets she who remembers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, finally we get the she who remembers. And then for she who remembers to meet the other serpents was like one long drawn
And
thing.
then she died, right? She who remembers dies.
Yes,
in the
she
end.
dies.
Yeah, which
She
is
dies.
just, that was
Yeah.
kind of uneventful too, because I was like,
Yeah,
why?
because then I think Tintaglia is there to guide the serpents to the up
But
the
I would
rain
have liked her
wilds.
to not die. Like
That's
she was kind of cool. She poor thing, she'd like lived for so
That's what-
long in that little cage,
Correct.
waiting for someone to take her
Yeah.
out. Like, she didn't deserve to just die.
But that also is interesting about why the others were keeping her there. I don't know if that's fully answered.
It's not. I mean,
It's
I mean,
not,
they
right?
answered it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
She said it. She
Yeah.
said that they wanted to use her for predictions
For
and like,
prophecies and
yeah, stuff like
things.
that.
Yeah.
But they didn't really fully like go into what the others were or
No.
like what the lore behind that was.
Exactly.
But I do, I feel a little sad that like we had to go through those chapters because I just feel
Yes.
like
they were tedious.
So
to
this
get
is just a
through.
quick tip for, okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense because
What?
people have read this
Oh
already.
yeah.
So I was going to give you a tip, but if you've stuck around for so long,
You've
then
read
you've
everything.
read the whole thing, I hope. Otherwise, you're just watching us like talk about random things that you don't know. So anyway, I take my tip back.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this is, I feel like this is as good a time as any to end this video.
Yes, I think so too. I think we've gone through everything.
We've been here
that
3 hours. Just
Yeah.
letting you know.
It was like bright and sunny. Now it's become dark. It's raining outside.
Yeah, and
And-
it's good. Very soon it's going to be like dusk.
Yes, pretty soon like the sun is going to set.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yes, if you've stuck around till the end, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very long video. Thank you for sticking around. Let us know in the comments your thoughts about this book because we can talk endlessly about this.
And if you want us to do this again with any of the other series like the Tawny Man
Yes,
or like whatever,
Farseer.
because I don't know, we did this for us. Like we
Yeah.
literally did this
Yeah.
video. I don't even know if there's like 3 people who watch this because
Yeah.
I don't know how many people have read this series to
Exactly.
begin with.
Exactly.
And then for them to discover this video and
Yeah.
watch it all 2 hours of it.
Yeah. I don't know who.
I don't know who's going to be. So
Yeah.
we're doing this for us. But even if there's like 2 people out there that say, no, do it for Tawny Man, we'll do it again.
Yes.
Just because it's
No,
so much fun.
Honestly, yes. I feel like once you read the other books, you will only want to be like, Shruti, chalo, let's sit
Do
for
this
2
again."
hours and talk about these books
Yeah.
because there is
Awesome.
so much to dissect.
Thank you for having me on channel and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, and
Thank you for like recommending it in the first place. Can I tell you that painting there? I know that like you guys can't see it, but maybe we'll show you like a small
Yes.
like cutout or whatever of it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a little bit inspired by that because it was like a dragon over the sea. Right? So that's
Nice.
that painting because I developed this and then I met her in the middle and I started reading the book.
Yes.
And then I was like, it took a different direction. Like the blues started coming because of that. I started shaping it
Oh my
into a little
gosh.
more dragony
Yeah.
like shape.
Oh my gosh, I
yeah,
love that.
Yeah, so
I love that.
I will show you guys this
Yeah.
as we're like speaking. Like we'll do like a small
Yes.
video, something
Yeah.
aside,
Yeah.
screen or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for
Yes.
recommending this series. It has enhanced my life.
That is so
and
sweet.
I just want to end by saying one thing, which is that a lot of people, and I think I put this up on my socials too,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that like they should be reading nonfiction to improve their lives, whether it's through like self-improvement books or like other
Yeah.
philosophical type books or ikigai or like whatever. I mean, all of these books
Yeah.
are great. I'm not saying that they're not, but books like this that teach you these big lessons,
Yeah.
whether it's a Kefria or a Vintro or like any of these guys,
Exactly.
and there are multiple lessons that they learned, right? Like
Yeah.
Althea finding out that she was so not, she thought she was all that, but she
Yeah.
really wasn't. Even
She
in the
was
first
humbled.
book, she was humbled. Yeah. And that she had to learn all the ropes and that she had to
Yeah.
earn her stripes and all of that. The fact that like that conversation between Etta and Vintro, where they talk about like become who you want, like become the person that you aspire to be with, become that yourself.
Exactly.
All of these things are like pearls of wisdom and they come through not just a non-fiction book but a fantasy book. I know a lot of
Correct.
people who read not just a fiction book but a fantasy book. I know a lot of people who read fiction
Yeah.
but they won't touch fantasy.
Correct.
Because they'll be like, oh, that's not for me, it's
Yeah,
too
it's too
unrealistic,
kiddish.
it's too kiddish.
Yeah.
Because I think they kind of think of like Harry Potter.
Exactly.
There's so much to be learned from fiction, you guys. Like
And fantasy.
so much.
There's so much. There's so much about human behavior that's to be learned. There's so much about just like politics and societal structures that can be learned from fantasy. And yeah.
I just think that we as human beings, this has been said, this is not anything new, but we as human beings learn best when we learn stuff through a story.
completely.
Which is why a lot of
100%.
times when history is taught through dates, it's the stupidest way of
Yeah.
learning history. It's
Yeah.
the best ways to learn through the story. So it's like the gossip of the kings and the
Correct.
queens.
Exactly. Which is why I love historical fiction also.
Yeah, I love historical fiction. But my point is that like you've obviously read all 3 books and you understand the value of it. But if you guys can go out there and like talk to others about just reading more fiction
And
for
fantasy.
knowledge, for bettering who you are, and fantasy
Yeah.
as well, I think we'll be making the world a better place.
100%.
And this book is one of like the best examples of how fiction and fantasy can actually give you so much more like pearls of wisdom than you would ever expect.
Completely. I think that's a really good note to end this video.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you so much, Shibani, for being on my channel. And hopefully we'll do this for the other series in Realm of the Elderlings. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.